Does God really exist? Or did everything we see come into existence by random chance through billions and billions of years of evolution? And is there solid proof? Any way we can know for sure? This is a very controversial topic that will be settled once and for all with logic plus scientific and historical evidence. Let's discuss. Have you ever been challenged by a die-hard atheist about God's existence? Or has there ever been a time when you experienced a crisis of faith, when you doubted the existence of God due to all the heartache, suffering, and problems in your life and even in the world at large? The existence of God is life's ultimate question. It is the most important question we can ever ask and answer in order to live a life of meaning and purpose. If God really exists, everything we do in this life is important. But if He does not, it doesn't really matter what we do or don't do. For atheists and agnostics, belief in God is just a mere superstition. They say it's just a matter of blind faith. But is it true that there is no proof or evidence to support God's existence? Well, here are 7 irrefutable proofs that the God of the Bible is who He says He is. Number 1, creation demands a creator. Imagine yourself walking in a beautiful white sand beach. The sand is so fine it feels like powder on your feet. When you look down, you find a Rolex watch. Would you ever think for a moment that nobody created it? But after billions and billions of years of evolution, the elements of the earth formed themselves into tiny gears that somehow got together in just the precise position, and the second hand, minute hand, and the hour hand also positioned themselves exactly. And the special 904L steel came together with the 18-karat gold, diamonds, sapphires, and other gemstones to magically shape themselves into that fabulous watch. Well, the universe we live in is perhaps a billion times more complex and sophisticated than a luxury Swiss watch. Just open your eyes. The majestic creation around us is simply undeniable. The plants, animals, stars, planets, galaxies, and on down to the smallest subatomic particles. But the universe has always existed, some might argue. It didn't have a beginning. Science has firmly established that there has been no past eternity of matter. The deterioration of matter, like radioactive uranium, is a scientific fact. Uranium U-238 gradually over a very long period of time disintegrates through many intermediate steps into lead, Pb206. There is no new uranium coming into existence today. Matter must have come into existence at one specific point in time. Since matter by its very nature has had no past eternity, it had to have been brought into existence. Listen to what even the famed evolutionist Charles Darwin had to say. Quote, "Reason tells me of the extreme difficulty, or rather impossibility, of conceiving this immense and wonderful universe, including man with his capacity of looking backwards and far into the future as the result of blind chance or necessity. When thus reflecting, I feel compelled to look for a first cause, having an intelligent mind in some degree analogous to that of man, and I deserve to be called a theist, one who believes in God." That's according to Charles Darwin's autobiography. Creation then, the very existence of things, absolutely requires a creator. That which is made requires a maker. That which is produced requires a producer. Matter has been made. It did not just happen. Therefore, the first great proof of God's existence is that the creation requires a great creator. That creator is God. Number 2, life demands a life giver. Life is a miracle. From a beautiful red rose to a cute little puppy to a sweet, adorable baby. How do you explain the existence and rich diversity of life on our planet? The theory of evolution cannot explain how life came into existence. It only assumes that all life forms have gradually evolved from the most simple to the most complex species that we see around us today. But the law of biogenesis states that life can only come from life. But given enough time, couldn't life have spontaneously appeared simply by random chance? Here's what Richard Dawkins had to say. He's a die-hard atheistic evolutionist. Quote, "The essence of life is a statistical improbability on a colossal scale. It cannot be by chance." Here's another quote from Francis Crick, a biophysicist who won the Nobel Prize for helping determine the molecular structure of DNA. Quote, "An honest man, armed with all the knowledge available to us now, could only state that in some sense the origin of life appears at the moment to be almost a miracle. So many are the conditions which would have had to have been satisfied to get it going." What are the exact odds for life to have happened by chance? According to the late Sir Fred Hoyle, one of Britain's most famous astrophysicists, it is one chance in 10 to the 40,000th power, the number 1 followed by 40,000 zeros. A probability of less than 1 in 10 to the 50th is almost considered a mathematical impossibility. So what is his conclusion? Quote, "There was no primeval soup, neither on this planet nor on any other. And if the beginnings of life were not random, they must therefore have been the product of purposeful intelligence." George Wald, the Nobel Prize-winning physiologist, also said, quote, "It is a mind that has composed a physical universe that breeds life." Yes, indeed. The very existence of life demands a life giver. And who is it? Quote, "And the Lord Yahweh God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being." God is that great life giver. Number 3, law demands a lawgiver. We live in an incredible, breathtaking, and orderly universe. We have a whole solar system, a huge sun, and the operation of definite, immutable, and unchangeable laws. A law of nature is anything that occurs with regularity, consistency, and symmetry in nature. These regularities are mathematically precise, universal, and tied together. Here are just 12 among many other laws and constants in our universe. For example, Isaac Newton's 3 laws of motion. You probably learned this in elementary or grade school. Kepler's laws of planetary motion. The universal law of gravitation. The 4 laws of thermodynamics. Archimedes' buoyancy principle. Bernoulli's principle in aerodynamics. Boyle's law on gases. The law of conservation of matter and energy. Albert Einstein's law of relativity, E_mc squared. The speed of light in a vacuum, about 300,000 kilometers per second. Pi, the ratio of the circumference to diameter of a circle, 3.1416. The law of cause and effect, or karma. There's no denying that these numerous physical laws of heat, light, energy, motion, the rotation of astral bodies, the laws of gravity, had to have already existed in order to have the present universe that we have now. Even scientific writers who don't believe in God have begun with an orderly, law-abiding universe. governed by irrefutable laws. The existence of law, unchangeable, immutable, irrevocable, unseen, and yet active, absolutely demands the existence of a great lawgiver. The Bible says, quote, "There is one lawgiver who is able to save and to destroy." That's in James chapter 4, verse 12. That lawgiver is God. Number 4, sustenance of law demands a sustainer. Have you noticed that a dog doesn't give birth to a cat and a cat doesn't give birth to a goldfish? You see, it is not enough to have laws in the universe. They must be sustained and upheld. There are hundreds of different varieties of dogs, whether tiny dogs like the Mexican Chihuahua or huge dogs like the Saint Bernard or Great Dane. They are all dogs. They're not horses or cats. They don't even develop slowly into another species. They are all of the same kind, dogs. There is an absolute, irrefutable, and immutable law which prohibits a jump from one kind to another kind. This is just one type of law, and there are hundreds of such laws in the universe. This very fact debunks evolution. In his book, The Divine Lawmaker, John Foster says that regularities in nature are best explained by a divine mind. The all-powerful God who made these laws also sustains them. God said at the creation, "Let the earth bring forth after its kind." He has been enforcing and sustaining that law ever since. So not only is there a great lawgiver, there is also a great sustainer of all the laws in the universe, both physical and spiritual. That great sustainer of all laws is God. Number 5, design demands a designer. Have you ever seen an ugly sunset? I haven't either. We live in a world of great design. You have never seen an ugly natural scene, whether in the mountains, at sea, in the sky, or anywhere on this earth, unless it was made ugly by man. Everything is in perfect harmony. This total interdependency of all life shows a great intelligent designer, one main architect with an overall framework in mind. This great universe and the complex, intricate planet in which we live is a world of great design. From the properties of a diamond, the wings of a hummingbird, the beauty of a golden sunset, to the masterpiece of all design, the human body, all are evidence of intelligent design. But beyond that, here is something really amazing and mind-blowing. Our human DNA is an exquisite language, like a very sophisticated software program or computer code, composed of some 3 billion genetic letters. The amount of information in the human DNA is roughly equivalent to 12 sets of the Encyclopedia Britannica, an incredible 384 volumes worth of detailed information that would fill 48 feet of library shelves. DNA is information, and such information demands the existence of a very intelligent mind. What's more, the laws of nature seem to have been crafted so precisely so as to move the universe toward the emergence and sustenance of life. This is called the anthropic principle. It's a fancy way of saying the universe was tailored and custom built just for human life. If the value of even one of these fundamental constants, the speed of light or the mass of an electron, for example, had been to the slightest degree different, we humans wouldn't be here. So the evidence of intelligent design in the universe demands the existence of a designer. And while Albert Einstein didn't believe in a personal God, he was recorded to have said this, and I quote, "My religiosity consists of a humble admiration of the infinitely superior Spirit who reveals Himself in the slight details we are able to perceive with our frail and feeble minds. That deeply emotional conviction of the presence of a superior reasoning power which is revealed in the comprehensible universe forms my idea of God. That's according to Albert Einstein in the book The Quotable Einstein. Number 6, fulfilled prophecy. The Bible contains thousands of prophetic statements. What's amazing is the fact that every single one of those prophetic statements has been literally fulfilled in history. And there are many that are still to be fulfilled today and into the very near future. God sent His prophets hundreds of years ago to such major cities as Babylon, Ekron, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Tyre, and Sidon. These prophets foretold the decay, fall, and particular type of fate that was to befall each of these ancient cities. In every single instance, exactly at the time prescribed, all these things happened. The succession of this world's kingdoms has long been prophesied in the correct order in the 2nd chapter of the prophetic book of Daniel. This prophecy was fulfilled in history and is still being fulfilled to this day. In King Nebuchadnezzar's vision, he saw a great image which was eventually toppled down. The 4 world empires that have come and gone are the following. Number 1, the head of gold, the Babylonian Empire. Number 2, the chest and arms of silver, the Medo-Persian Empire. Number 3, the belly and thighs of bronze, the Greco-Macedonian Empire. Number 4, the legs of iron, the Roman Empire, with the eastern side in Constantinople and the western side in Rome. We are now witnessing today the development of the 2 feet with its 10 toes, which will be a mixture of iron and ceramic clay. This will emanate from the European Union or European Community of Nations. This is something we still need to be watching out for. Please consider who could have ever predicted these long-gone empires in their correct order and with very precise descriptions, unless the God of heaven has revealed these through His prophet Daniel and preserved it for us today through His word. Now, consider another astounding prophecy which has been fulfilled. There are at least 40 to 50 very specific Old Testament prophecies that Yeshua or Jesus fulfilled to the letter. What are the odds that He would accidentally fulfill all those prophecies? Not a chance, according to Luis Lapides, a Christian convert from Judaism. He said, the odds are so astronomical that they rule that out. Someone did the math and estimated that the probability of just 8 prophecies being fulfilled is 1 chance in 100 million billion. That number is millions of times greater than the total number of people who've ever walked this planet. That same person calculated that if you took this number of silver dollars, they would cover the entire state of Texas to a depth of 2 feet. If you marked 1 silver dollar among them and then had a blindfolded person wander the whole state and bend down to pick up 1 coin, what would be the odds he'd choose that one that had been marked? Those are the same odds that anybody in history could have fulfilled just 8 of those prophecies, let alone 40 to 50 of them. Now that's just talking about Christ's first coming. There are several more prophecies about His second coming that will likewise be fulfilled exactly as He did during His first coming. The very fact that God is able to foretell the future and bring it to pass is proof of His existence. Therefore, fulfilled prophecy is another proof of God's existence. And last, number 7, answered prayer. This last proof is perhaps the most practical of all. But since the skeptics, atheists, and doubters have never prayed, They have never had their prayers answered, so they continue to doubt. George Mueller was perhaps the greatest modern apostle of faith. He died in 1898, but he founded 5 great orphanages and other charitable institutions in Bristol, England. He started out, as faith always does, with a very small work, without any financial backing, and absolutely no means of support, except to get down on his knees and send up a believing prayer to God. For nearly 70 years, George Mueller continued that great work, and it grew into a tremendous institution housing over 10,000 orphans. Every dime for feeding, clothing, sheltering, and schooling those orphans came in only one way, as a result of believing prayer. Altogether, he received about 1.4 million British pounds. In today's money, that's 113 million British pounds. That's about 150 million US dollars or 7.2 billion pesos sent to him in answer to his prayers. Some people today assume that answered prayer is just the result of positive thinking. But real answered prayer is a direct, divine, supernatural intervention, a completely miraculous intervention, and a direct answer from Almighty God. It is the result of being obedient to God's laws, asking according to His will, and then believing in faith until the answer comes. In conclusion, I hope you are now convinced that God is who He says He is. These proofs are irrefutable. God's power and presence is not only felt in the majestic universe around us, His guiding hand is also evident in the history of empires and nations, and also in our individual lives. God cares enough to know the number of hairs on our head and how much money we have in our wallet. Make sure you put God first and seek Him with all your heart. I hope you can say, along with Job, "For I know that my Redeemer lives, and He shall stand at last on the earth." Until next time, this is Daniel Macarig of BiblicalTruths.tv, reminding you to always be growing, to always be giving, and to always be grateful.